What's up, everybody? Time for another game theory video, rambly thing. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you want to appreciate things. So I got asked if I would talk more about CVS2 because I've said before, I don't know if I can actually objectively tell you that I think that CVS2 is actually a better game, objectively speaking. I feel like it's only really better because there's more, and more is better. That's generally the argument for CVS2, right? And so I guess it's on Fightcade. So I actually put in CVS2 to kind of remind myself a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much I don't like about this game. And there's also, CVS1. And so I put in CVS1, and CVS1 is pretty goddamn archaic as well. And I don't think CVS1 is that great. But again, even trying it and actually objectively thinking about it, even though CVS1 is ghetto, I don't know, just thinking about just objectively speaking, it's hard for me to say that CVS2 is some amazing game. It's so much better than CVS1. I just don't see it. And I can't, just even thinking about CVS2, I can't show every example because CVS2 is just absolutely riddled with stupid shit. To even try to give an analogy for CVS2, CVS2 I think is a game that if you actually think about it in a grand perspective of fighting games, you can see there's like a clear biasness to whoever made it, the team that made it. Seemingly, I would say. Some characters, they just don't seem to make sense. Like, why is this character so weak? Why is this character so good? And of course, we know that Capcom, they have even admitted before. I think Street Fighter 4 is one of the most notorious examples that they purposely wanted Yun to be the best in the game. So it's not like Capcom is above having a biasness. And I do think this is a game where you can feel a biasness. That's not to say that every idea in the game is terrible. There are some good ideas, I think, but there's also ideas that it feels like they didn't actually try out. They had a clear biasness towards one character versus others. And it also feels like there's sort of this, almost some sort of arbitrary, besides on a few characters, say like Cammy, you know what I mean, compared to CVS1, almost sort of like an arbitrary that they were making the game and they didn't really want to test the game. So they just had somebody come in and they're like, hey, can you make half of this character's move set, half of these moves just 10 to 20% worse. Just remove some frames here, make it a little bit more recovery here, make it like slower here, less hitbox here, just arbitrarily, because if you actually look at the moves just in the grand scheme of the game, there's so many moves that are just slightly toned down from CVS1. And it's almost like they're just like, we're not going to beta test this game very long, which is even funny because, again, apparently during the one beta test they had, they actually found out about role canceling, but Capcom was like, oh, no one's ever going to do that. Don't worry about it. And I also remember, just because I like the move, the Shin Shoryuken actually had a blue laser beam flash on it, and they got rid of that. I remember that. That's not in the final version of the game. I don't know, but so whatever. Let me just talk about some examples along forward of just shit that doesn't make sense to me. Did you know that Ryu's Hurricane Kick, level 3 super, is punishable, but the level 1 isn't? Okay, this is the start of just, again, I could go through so many examples of weird shit in this game. For whatever reason, I don't know who was checking the game. They're like, yeah, we should make sure that the level 3 is going to be this block damage super that normally in past games has left you at the advantage. We're going to make it so the level 3 that takes more meter has worse frame advantage than the level 1. The start of some very stupid examples in this game. Yes, the level 3 is punishable, but not the level 1, retarded. And talking about the Shin Shoryuken, you know what I mean? This is a great example of like just overbalancing the game, whatever. In CVS1, the move did like 65% life. Pretty generous hitbox. I wouldn't say generous, a decent hitbox. And it juggled, which meant that you could literally do like 80% combos with it. Almost instantly kill ratio 1 characters. But in CVS2, the move only does, instead of 65% just raw, it does only half life. And guess what? it no longer juggles, and it has like no range whatsoever. Whose bright idea was that? No, I'm serious. Like, okay, I understand one thing, which actually I don't. I don't think the move is actually even broken in CVS1, considering how many, again, the balance and the chaos of moves. But there's a move, it just seems like some guys like, I just don't like this move, right? Let's talk about even aesthetic stuff in the game bothers me, okay? And again, I'm showing more examples. This isn't going to be it's going to be a rambly video, but it would take too long if I show every example. So they gave Kyo his hard punch, fire punch combo. But guess what? The final showdown, my namesake, still does the wrong fucking combo. What the okay. Okay, Capcom. I guess you just don't like the move. Okay. I don't get it, dude. Fucking weird. And, you know, going back to the Ryu thing, it's not like level, and this is why I say it almost seems like there was a biasness for some guy just came in and fact-checked things, fact-checked, you know. It's like, I don't like this, I'm taking this away. 20% worse, 20% worse. This move is 20% worse, this move is 20% worse, this blah, 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 blah. And it's not like no level 3s juggle whatsoever. I mean, we have Kyo here, you know, pretty easy thing, whatever. And, you know, he also has shoulder tackle into off the ground punch. So it's like you can clearly see that this is pretty specifically, this was put in just for that. Just like shoulder check. They just work too specifically. So that's why I say it's like you can tell there's specific shit they put in this game on purpose. Also, something that started in this game. Do you remember when, if you think about Ryu versus Ken, Ryu, Dragon Punch, very more vertical, or same as vertical as Ken, but not as much horizontal, right? But in the air, it's one powerful hit. On the ground, he doesn't get as much damage as Ken, right? But Ken has more horizontal range, right? Ken has the better combo on the ground. But in this game, remember what they did? So there's Ryu. Oh, Ken's now does 3 hits, and they have almost exactly the same vertical or horizontal range. So you're already you could start to see this is sort of almost a homogenization of characters before even newer generations of games. And then you get into stuff like Street Fighter 4, something that I've always said is stupid. Street Fighter 4, why the fuck can Ryu go tap, 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 Dragon Punch as a combo? Doesn't that seem like something that should be for Ken? But again, the characters actually started to become too homogenized in this game, I think, from certain aspects. But I hated that shit in this game. So here's another thing. This isn't roll canceling. This is an example of things that just weren't tested. So something that Capcom did in this game is they made Kim's flip kick, the Hangitsun. It actually goes over lows and fireballs much more realistically actually than King of Fighters, if you've ever played King of Fighters, okay? But guess what? You wanted something stupid they did when they were toning down every move from going from CVS1 to CVS2? Well, guess what? The move is punishable. What? Okay. Now, let me just say this, because I'm going to show a lot of weird examples of this. I'm not totally against a move being punishable on hit. I would say generally that should not be the case. But I know there's examples like Super Turbo of doing Fireball after Blanca, you know, roll, whatever. I know there's character specific stuff. This is punishable here. But you're telling me you specifically in CVS2, you want Kim going over fireballs now more realistically. You took away him being able to do sweep in this game to flip kick. So he can't even do flip kicks from the same shit. But now flip kick is punishable on hit. Like, that seems like a pretty big brain fart. Like, I don't get it. Like, that's why I say they're sure. And like I said, remember, he can't actually do roundhouse in this game. He can only do a medium to this, which means generally speaking, a character can already roll through it if you're doing it in a string. So you're not only could she roll through it and punish him, she can just block it and punish him if you're doing it like. Okay, I understand not every move has to be safe on block. You know, I understand certain character specific stuff can happen. But why the fuck did you take it so I can't do roundhouse into it anymore? And now I'm punishable if I do it, but you want me to go over fireballs. And this is why I said, even without roll canceling, CVS2 is kind of a fucking weird game to me. Oh, guess what? Because everything just had this arbitrary almost feeling of everything is 20% worse. Yes. Now Kim's dive kick is punishable by everybody, even if he hits you on hit or block. What? I hit you and you can hit me. Well, okay. What? Again, things just weren't tested in this game. I can just wait. I can even try to space it. Nope. You just get hit. It's just never safe. Hit or block. Like, okay, dude, I don't understand. And then going back to this, I just get, okay. So let's go into the next move that is a move that just was not tested properly. Okay. And I say this again, as somebody that likes there being different hurt boxes, different hitboxes, okay? I appreciate that nuance. But there becomes a level like CVS2 and even CVS1, the hop kick is a little bit ghetto, to be honest with you. But in CVS2, the hop kick is very bizarre. The move does more block stun or more stun on block. But when you hit him, he's punishable. But the weird thing is the move actually, even saying that, the move still doesn't function properly. Only a verse maybe, and I'm sure there's some nerd, it's been so long since I played CS2. I think there's only maybe like 10 characters in the entire game that it actually, the idea of it is proper, the idea, you could say, because the move, he does a hop kick, right? And it hits for how many frames? So right when he starts, you know what I mean? He can miss you. But then he starts to fall down and he can hit a ducking character if they're doing a low. Now, just that in theory, even I've said that is not too bad, right? Because then that makes you specifically want to use the move to hit a ducking opponent. Because then if the opponent is standing, that means you use the move improperly. And then the first hit of it means that you can be punished, right? So just that in theory, I'm not against that. But in actual practice, they didn't actually test the move. Because guess what? Generally speaking, the move, besides a few characters in the game, it either will always hit with this first frame of the attack, so you're punishable, or the move will always just miss. There's none of this. This middle ground is very rare in the game, which again, how many times have you seen my videos? You should know. I like different hurt boxes. I like different hit boxes. But there becomes a point when you're like, okay, you just didn't test the move. The game has what, 48 characters, and the move only works properly on 10 characters in the game. So again, okay, it doesn't hit you. What you mean? It doesn't hit Kim. Okay, so okay. Well, let's look at some samples. So wait. So now again, what I was talking about, if you hit the guy standing, he can punish you. Like, oh god, okay. I can sort of see the theory. That you want him to hit you ducking, and like you could see here. This is a little bit hard to do while you might have to like do this in slow motion while you're watching it. You can see that there's a couple frames where it hits. So I'm sorry, but you'll have to go slow. And you can see if you do like this, okay, I can't hit you. I can sort of see the theory, but again, this doesn't actually work in the game like this for the majority of the cast, right? So again, boom, there I'm safe, right? Ryu, one of the few characters that move sort of, the idea is theoretically possible of how they want you to use the move, right? But guess what? Again, when we actually get into it, guess what? Well, Sagat, even if you do a low, guess what? You're going to get hit. Okay. Block it, you know what I mean? See, this is what I'm talking about. The move is actually made, generally speaking, only works on block, okay? So guess what? Okay, I hit you. Oh, but you hit me. Oh, I'm getting worse reward. Guess what? The move also doesn't even go over moves that are aimed below you, even though he hops so high in the air in this game. The move's hurtbox and hitbox is completely jank, right? Oh, I hit you. Oh, you hit me. Oh, some moves, it just can't even hit you. It doesn't even hit, right? Oh, I hit you. Oh, you hit me. Oh, I hit you. Oh, you hit me. Oh, I hit you. Oh, you hit me. Now, again, we go back. Some characters, the move kind of works. See? Boom, he hits you, right? But if you hit like this, you could see, I think I did that slow enough. You could see it hit the frame late, so now I can't hit you. So again, some moves, the move sort of works, but the problem is it only works for like 10 characters out in the entire game. Either the character is too small and it can't hit you whatsoever, either the character is medium sized, but then they do a low and it can't hit a character when they're doing the low anyway. Or the character is above this threshold and you get punished no matter what you do. Just, what are you thinking? Another thing, talking about moves that are, because of this sort of arbitrary, everything is a little bit worse in the game. Kim's switch stance. Let me just say, I think Kim's switch stance is a fucking fantastic idea. I don't know who at Capcom came up with it, but it's a fantastic idea. I love it. Pat on the back. Pat on the back. I love it. You know what I mean? It gives you a little bit of a, throwback to, the games at the time. Was it like 97, 98, and 99? Was it in 2000 as well? I don't remember if it's in 2000. 97, 98, I know it's in for sure. I think it's in 99 as well. But Kim has this thing where he has the foot stamp bug, right? Where you can then get more advantage after the foot stomp if you don't have super. So then you can go into overhead and you can do different kind of pressure strings. It kind of gives a little bit of love to that. And also in the real bout games, he had a back stance, right? I love it. It's cool. I dig it. And in the original game, because moves were not already all super toned down, you actually got better links off of it. But in this game, because everything, quotation marks, everything was kind of toned down, you can't use a lot of the foot stomp stuff or even switch stance mix-ups unless you're right next to the guy, right? Boom. So there I can get a kick. But you got to remember, in the original game, you could do stuff like sweep. But now you get like a jab or just a duck medium punch. So you're like, okay. But see, I'm only going to get this if I'm right up in the dude's junk, right? See, I can do a medium here, but then guess what? I can only do super. So see right here. So say if I'm actually using this, and look how close I am to the guy. Even from this range, I'm not in range to hit him anymore. That's why in the first game, you could actually use it from a distance that was not just right in the dude's fucking butthole. Like, I don't get it. Now, it did it. There are some kind of fun counter stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I get that. That's kind of cute, right? But guess what? Oh, that doesn't work anymore. Oh, I can't do that. So I hop over the move on a counter hit, but because everything seems simulated as less stun, I can't do it. Again, you got all this, that's kind of fun. Whatever. Oh, but then technically, remember, I can be punished for that, though. Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, you can be punished. Well, okay. But, getting married can be it just, my fucking brain. But, I'm just going to stop there, dude, because like I said, it would take so long to talk about all the weird shit in CVS2 that I don't like. But what I'm trying to get at, and like I said at the beginning of the video, I feel like there's a clear biasness in CVS2 when you play it. There's a lot of moves that you're like, this move just feels like it was purposely toned down for no reason. The creator didn't like this, the person balancing the character. Some moves, like look at the Ryu Super Hurricane Kick. It's like they told someone after they made the game, they did the beta. They're like, hey, we're not going to beta test this game very much. So we only did one beta. So I want you to just pick out half the moves from this character and just tone it down by 10 or 20% because we're worried what's going to happen. Oh, hey, roll canceling. Do you want me to get rid of that, sir? No one's ever going to do that. But just remember take away about 10, 20%, tone down every single move, it feels like. Besides Cammy, from CVS1, we think she'll be okay. So make her actually better, right? You know what I mean? But generally speaking, I feel like that. And you have weird design choices in the game that they just don't make sense, right? And I don't want to say nothing. There's no good idea. Like I said, I've made so many videos about the hop kick. I think it is it's a move that needs to be treated, with a lot of care because it does augment Ryu's traditional style. But this is a game, they're like, hey, this is the idea. Let's not double check it though. Let's not double check it. This is the idea. I'm sure it will work out. We don't have a lot of time to beta test it. It will work out. It's fine. It works for maybe 10 characters in the game the way that it was seemingly even planned. And that's assuming that you think that the move should be okay on block, but punishable on hit. It's a little strange, right? I don't know. There's just so many. And of course, you got the groove shit. Like SNK groove was toned down way too much. You know what I mean? There's just so much weird shit. There's favorites why is he so slow in the game? You know, Kyosuke is another character. Like, hey, we're playing Kyosuke in the game. We don't have time to beta test the game, though. Just make everything, you know how we said make every move 10 to 20% worse with everyone else in the game? For him, let's do, because he has so many moves, give him 30%. Tone down every move by 30% with him, just in case, right? It just is, it feels icky. Okay? This isn't that CVS1 is the most amazing game. Because CVS1, you can play it and you're like, wow. You're like, EX characters are really just sort of an excuse for more depth, because we don't want you to have every character in one, right? So we're going to make, there's more character, but it's like, come on. So the EX character thing is kind of lame, and it makes characters feel a little bit limited in a game that already feels a little bit limited. But, the thing is, the moves that are actually in CVS1, they feel kind of okay, right? And that's not that every move feels bad in CVS2, but CVS2, the biasness of it feels quite bad, considering it's the second game. Like, there's definitely some stuff in CVS1 that feels a little biased, I think, too. But overall, you're like, this is the second game. This shouldn't feel even more biased than the first game, So, and CVS1, again, moves were powerful. Like, look at the way they did Iori's 8 wine glass super in CVS1. You made a super that almost always has no use in every King of Fighter game, and you made it a great super now. A reason to actually do it now in CVS1. A reason to have Iori on your team. And it's fucking awesome. And I know it's one of the best supers in the game, but guess what? Yeah, it's one of the best supers in the game. You made a super that normally sucks, and now you've given him a gimmick with it. That's great. A gimmick that only he has. And guess what? Even though he only has this gimmick, there's so many different powerful things in the game that lots of stuff is viable competitively. And that's why I say a game like CVS2 is, even without roll canceling, CVS2 is kind of ghetto to me. I don't know. I could complain about it a lot longer, but anyway. Remember, if you like the videos, like, some silly comment, share. Support the channel if you want. Appreciate it. Thanks. The end.